Hey YouTube, Darren here. I'm back at you with a real quick how-to, and this time it's about masking. Now I don't know if you caught it or not, but if you're a member of the Grumpy Old Scale Modeler Facebook group, last weekend myself and a good friend of mine here, Andrew White, aka Whitey, he and I did a first ever Grumpy Live Let's Talk Models over in the Facebook group. We're planning another one of those. Now I'll link, to the one we did last weekend up here, but we're going to do another one on the 20th, the weekend of the 20th, which is Saturday before Thanksgiving, 8 o'clock Eastern, and it will be Let's Talk Models too. So if you have a chance, come on out and join us. We're going to broadcast into the Facebook group. We're also going to broadcast to YouTube. We'll be standing by ready to take your questions, and I'm looking forward to some interaction with everybody. So if you get to join us, please, on the 20th. But one of the topics that we got into during the live was about masking, and we talked about different types of tapes and things of that nature. And I think there was a comment about liquid masking material and canopies, and we got to discussing the ammonia base and some of those, so on and so forth. And then I got onto the subject of one of my favorites, and that was Parafilm M. So I got an email from Tim, and he says, question on masking. Masking is probably the thing I hate most when building models, aircraft primarily. I tried masking with painter's tape, Tamiya tape, metal foil, and even lint foil, but always seemed to not get clean frame lines. He goes on to talk about the masking fluid. He's reluctant to try that, and really I don't suggest that for canopies because you just really can't get a crisp line with it. He says he works in a lab, so he'll have to add the Parafilm M to his list of things to try, and he also mentioned that a tutorial on this would be good. So here you go, Tim. You've asked, and that's what I'm going to do. Now, Parafilm M, this is used primarily in the lab. Okay, so it's used for sealing things, beakers, test tubes, things of that nature. It is paraffin based, a waxy paper type substance. It doesn't have any adhesive to it. It's the, and I'm speculating here, but the way I see it is probably the paraffin itself that kind of sticks to itself once it's stretched out. So this is some really good stuff. I use it for more than just masking of canopies, which you'll see here in this little how-to. So yeah, Parafilm M. You can find the stuff on Amazon. You can find it on, I would look on eBay. I think you'll probably get it cheaper there, being that it's a lab material. Amazon might be quite expensive. But before we dive into that, I want to take a real quick chance to shout out to my Patreon members and say thank you for your support. You are the ones that are helping to make this channel a little bit better and the content better for everybody out there. So thank you. If you haven't checked out the Patreon page, link is below. Go ahead and check it out if you have a chance. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's jump on into the how-to. Here is our Parafilm M laboratory film, and instead of doing a canopy, because we're pretty much familiar with masking canopies, right? You put the stuff on and you follow the line. Well, the same rule applies for what we're going to do today. And what I'm really wanting to show you is how to mask a part like this tail of my 1/48 scale Tamiya F14A. So this is being done in VFA 84, late 80s, mid 80s, 1984 livery, and the top of these tails is supposed to be yellow. And as you see, I've already done this one, and it came out really, really well. And the reason why I've decided to do this instead of tape is you'll see the little step here just where it touches the rudder. That is very difficult to do with tape. Okay. Another thing you'll notice is there is no raised paint mark on this. It's because this stuff is so thin, it really leaves not much of a step at all when it comes to paint. And by doing it this way and following the panel line, any type of step is almost going to be covered, okay, once you start weathering. So this one's done. We're going to go ahead and do this one. I'm going to show you just how I did it, and remember, the rules are the same when it comes to doing a canopy. Now, I'm not worried about sticking this stuff on paint because there's no adhesive. This stuff is made out of paraffin. It's paraffin based, so it sticks to itself. It's more of a waxy type stick than anything else, for lack of better words. And it doesn't hurt your paint. So what I've done is I've taken and cut off a piece from the sheet. Now this sheet will last you quite some time, and you'll see why. I've cut off a piece, and I have it here. And the first thing we need to do is we need to go ahead and just take the paper backing off, which is fairly simple. It's not really stuck to it. It's sitting against it, and it comes off like so. That is trash. You take the stuff and you just give it a good stretch. Oh, so that's a tear. Let me cut that off there. You see that tear right there? Because that will rip at that tear point. So we'll cut that off. Now we're going to go ahead and just give this stuff a stretch. And you'll see how it will stretch to almost, I don't know, 4 times its size, its length. And that's why this stuff, I mean, I could have cut half of a piece and still had more than one, more than enough. So once we stretch that, we're just going to kind of let it sit here and relax for a second. And when I mean, 5-10 seconds, but if you can see just how thin that edge is, it's so much thinner than tape. It's ridiculous, actually. So we let it rest and it's done. I think that's probably plenty. We're going to go ahead and put this over our part, and I'm just going to go just above, or I'm going to put most of the stuff below because that's the part we want to protect, and I'm just going to go above that panel line like so. Now if I pull this just a little bit tight, okay, and start mashing that down, the heat from my fingers, you'll see, is going to have this start to stick down. Okay. Put that on there. I'm going to wrap that around like so. Wrap this around, and I'm going to just give that a good push, and it's stuck to it, folks. You can see my panel line coming through. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but I'm hoping that comes through. But you can certainly see right through it. You can see where the panel line is right through here. Goes all the way to the front. And we'll just kind of give that a little mash, and that holds it down on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off this excess, and I'm going to do the other side. And there we go. It's all masked off. Now, what we're going to do next, the key is here is to follow this panel line with a sharp X-Acto knife all the way around. We'll cut the front here just a little bit, the back here a little bit, and all that should peel off the top. The key, a new sharp blade. Okay, don't skimp on this, because if you don't, you're only going to cut through part and you're going to have stringy edges. You want to make sure, and you need a light touch, especially when you're doing canopies, because you don't want to scratch into the clear acrylic. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and change this out. New blade. Grab my old Optivisor here, and it's going to be kind of hard for me to do this on camera. I'm going to try, but I got to get close to see here because of my Optivisor. But all I'm going to do is set right inside the panel line and lightly drag this through the panel line. Here's my step. It goes up. I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to come down the other side. Straight down the panel line. Okay, here's my step. Come to the other side. step, cut the back, and cut the front, score it, and then in theory what should happen here is I should be able to pull this off with no problem. And look at that. There you go. Easy peasy. And that, my friends, is how you mask using Parafilm M. Just cut straight on down, pull off, it leaves a nice clean edge. And of course then we'll just mask as usual for the rest of this. Once you spray, which I'm not going to bore you all with all those details, this is a finished product, and you'll notice there's no bleed under. It's a nice sharp clean edge. It works great. And you know, there's another use for this stuff too. A lot of people, once they have done their exhaust work, will want to cover, as they do any flat paint or flat finishes, they want to cover the exhaust so it doesn't flatten us out. Let's face it, any type of clears over this dulls out your metal type finish. This is perfect stuff. You wrap it, cut everything out that you want to expose for dull paint or dull coat, and just leave that on there. So what I will do is end up Parafilm emming all this metal stuff and then gluing this onto the aircraft, and it will stay on there until I'm done with all my finishes. I'll take it off and I will have my metal finish intact. And there you go, voila. That is a wrapped exhaust, and you can see how I cut out the only area with paint there. This is the part that I'm going to want to have dull coat on. So once I put this on my airplane, so once that's glued in place, all the metallized area will be protected, so I can shoot any kind of clear, dull or you know, semi-gloss, gloss, whatever I want to spray, but I won't lose my metal detail or my metal finish. So there you go. That is Parafilm M in a nutshell. So there you go, Parafilm M. You can use it for more than just canopies. You know, if you're gonna look at canopies, I mean, this is a great alternative, but you know, there's so many masks out there now with Easy Mask and Eduard and you know, things that you can buy pre-made masks now, and it just makes the world a whole lot easier. But when it comes to masking off aircraft parts or parts of anything, it could be a part of a tank, it could be a part of a car, anything. I think that Parafilm M works very well. It's certainly one of my favorite masking mediums, and so there you have. If you use it in conjunction with others, that works great. So if you have any questions, any suggestions about content, please, my email address is in the description below. Drop me a line. Again, don't forget to subscribe. If you like content like this, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you're notified whenever I upload new content. And again, let's all be good to each other, and thanks for watching. Until next time, see ya.